Hey, Jason here from Jason's Works. I have something really special for you on this video. It is some new tools, and I am like shaking because it's so exciting. I've been working on these for a long time and was finally able to get them out, prototyped and figured out. So can't wait to share them with you. And I do have a new addition on the manual that I offer, and you can purchase that, put it up here somewhere. It shows the technique on, well, at least two of the tools that you're going to see on this video, and I'll be working on the third. So more additions coming out, of course. And remember that if you've purchased one in the past, feel free to contact me, and I'll send you the brand new edition, no charge, to keep you updated on the new techniques and new tools that are coming out. And make sure to do that through Etsy though, and not through YouTube. I can't send a PDF file through YouTube, just through Etsy, and that would work the best and verify the purchase and all that. So, and if you haven't purchased the manual yet, there will be new editions coming out, so you'll always have access to that. So, enough of that. Let's get to the tools. So here we have, of course, the self-centering coin punch. That's one of my, I think it's the second one I've owned. It's been through a lot of coin rings. Holding up great, still using it, love it. So, but the new tools are the four folding, stabilizer folding cones with a spacer, and then you have a folding mandrel, large folding mandrel, and then also a mandrel here for stretching out the quarter-inch holes in your smaller coins, such as your pennies and dimes and small coins. And then also the tool holder for the tools, and reduction die holder here. So anyhow, those are the new tools, and I'm going to be showing you the process of these here, the cones, the folding mandrel, and also this mandrel here. So just a real brief history on the cones. They're made to take the place of the delrin balls, and also stabilize the coin as you fold it in your reduction die. And that's the beauty part, is that you're doing the folding and stabilizing with this one tool, so that you can use your original reduction dies that you already have. Because that was one thing I noticed, everybody's noticing with the delrin balls, is that as you press down, the coin wants to slip. And I first noticed that trying them out first time, but it's still an advantage over the last method. So this new method I see as an advantage over the delrin ball method. So I'm loving it. I'm getting some great feedback on them. Actually, I've got a testimonial from a gentleman. I'll read you part of it. Maybe I'll put the whole thing down below. But while I was prototyping the coins, trying to figure out the process and sizes and angles and all that stuff, I was contacted by somebody, Gene, and saying, "Hey, the coins are slipping with these balls. You know, what's the deal? You know, how does that? What's the tricks or tips to fix that?" I said, there's a beta test possibility. So I got the set that I thought was working the best. They were working the best. Got those sent off. He tried them out, and well, here's the testimonial or the review that he gave back. "What a great idea! I'm sure that this is going to become the new standard for making coin rings. I don't know if you can patent it, but when this comes out, I think you'll be copied by all others who make tools." So that sounds pretty good. Let's see. No more slipping with a cone shape, but you still have to go slow to make sure the coin stays even. It also gives more uniform shape as you work the press. I don't know what it's made out of, but it seems to be super strong. When you introduce it, I will give you a thumbs up review. Thanks so much, Gene." So Gene, thank you so very much for taking the time to review the cones and also to write the review and just let me know what you thought of them. So, and they are very, very tough. That was the one problem with the excuse me, the delrin balls, is that they're tough, but they're relatively soft. so you can imprint a line from the hole of the coin fairly easily, but they're so tough that they actually held up. So, but with these cones, it's much more rigid. It's still slippery, but rigid and very, very strong. And the compression on them is the strength that you can put with compression is amazing. But you still have to soften that hole, bevel the hole, however you like to do it. But make sure that there's no sharp edge on the hole, and that'll lengthen the life of the cone for sure. I still haven't worn a set out. I'm still trying it out, but I'm amazed how long they're lasting. And I'm actually working on another tool to help elongate the life for probably forever on the cones. So definitely stay tuned for that. So that's the background on the cones and the delrin balls. The other tool is this mandrel, and that's the difference. Well, I guess the main difference between the mandrel and the cones is that the cones are specifically designed for those coin ring makers that like to use just the ring stretcher and reducer, which I'm one of them. I just like to keep it simple, keep it small, keep it portable, and with these cones I can fold very small coins, quarter size or smaller, with 3/8 hole, all the way up to a silver eagle with a 5/8 hole. So that's the whole idea, is to have these as the universal stabilizing folding tool, and that's the idea. But now the larger mandrel, now that's designed for the coin ring maker that likes to use arbor presses or hydraulic presses. And honestly, I had never tried it on a hydraulic press, and I've yet to try it on an arbor press until tonight. So stay tuned, we'll see how it goes. But I was very impressed with this folding mandrel, stabilizing folding mandrel, on just the simplicity of it all, using a press like that. You know, you have to have the press or buy a press, but a lot of people have that already. So I figured, why not make one for you guys as well? And I love it. So that is that idea. Now we are off to, this is actually one of the prototypes, which I've been using, as you can see, but works very well. This tool here, this is the stretching mandrel for the 1/4-inch holes. So, and I've noticed this problem as well, obviously, but when you have a 1/4-inch hole in a very, very small coin like a dime, you want that thicker band. It won't fit on top of the expanding mandrel on the ring stretcher, so you have to stretch that hole. So that's this tool right here. It has a steeper angle so that you're doing more stretching than you are folding, but you're still folding as well and stabilizing. So you're doing 3 things at once with this tool, and that's for the smaller holes. Now I have noticed that, especially on the harder alloyed coins, it's good to start with a steel mandrel first, so that you start the fold. That way there's less 90-degree contact against the mandrel here to help elongate the life. So that's the tool to help elongate the life of this tool. But I see very little wear on this. I'm amazed how long it's lasting. It's just phenomenal. So, but I'll show you that technique as well. Okay, so here are the cones and the spacer as well. And I took a lot of time in finding the most efficient, easiest process in order to do this. So the least amount of material used and the most effective and efficient way. And I truly believe that I was able to do so. And it's really nice because it's the concept that you need to understand, rather than knowing a specific recipe for a certain type of coin or a certain type of hole size. But as long as you understand the concept, then you can do an infinite number of combinations of sized coins, foreign coins, and even the holes in those coins. So, and again, this is designed for the ring stretcher reducer machine here. First step is place your coin that has a perfectly centered hole in your reduction die, making sure that your hole is centered and also beveled, nice and soft around those edges. That helps protect your cones. Now once it's placed in there, you get to choose a cone. Now that's a 1/2 inch hole, and this is a 1/2 inch cone, and it'll fit in the hole. However, when you go to place it under the ram, it's too tall. It doesn't fit. So here's option number 1. Grab a smaller cone, place that in. This is the 3/8 cone, and then place that underneath your ram. Now you can start folding. Now option number 2 is if this for some reason didn't work, to go to a smaller cone, then what you can do is go to a larger size die. And what that does is that drops the coin down further down into your reduction die, therefore giving you more space. I'll just throw in the 3/8. You can see that there's a lot more space under there now. So anyhow, those are the two options. That's the main concept using the cones, is to either use a cone that fits underneath the ram, and or to go to a larger size die to drop the coin down further to get more space. And just for like a reference here, I'll grab a Silver Eagle. I'm using the 1.6 size die. Place that in there nice and level. And even though it's a 5/8 hole, I'm going to use a 3/8 cone because that is what fits underneath the ram. And the Silver Eagle actually uses all the cones all together. If you make a quarter use just the 3/8 cone. In the Silver Eagle, you actually go through and use all the cones, including the spacer. Where'd the spacer go? There it is. The spacer right here. That's your very last step with the Silver Eagle, is using the 3/4 size cone with that spacer on top, and that will be your final press, your final fold. So just have to make sure, as always, make sure to anneal your coin in between folds. I've noticed that actually the cones are more efficient. You don't have to anneal as often, but better to anneal too often than not enough, because if you don't anneal enough, you crack your coin and it's a bad day. Okay, let's start folding. So here we go with the Walking Liberty $1/2. Placing that underneath the ram, and we'll begin to fold. Coin stays nice and straight, right in there. I can start to feel resistance as the silver work hardens, and you can see I've got a lot of space now. So here comes another option that you can do. You can either add your spacer and go a little bit further if you feel like it's annealed enough, not too hard, or you can take your cone out. And you can see this is a brand spanking new cone, and that's not much. Oops, there we go. That's not much impact that coin had at all. It holds up really great. So sorry. The other option is to, rather than the spacer, is to go to a larger cone and place that in there. But remember, it's work hardening as I press down, so be careful not to work harden it too much. So I'm going to go ahead, so you can see there, that's the beginning stages of the fold. Really nice and even. I'll go ahead and anneal. Looking for that nice dull red. Actually, I'm looking for an orange flame first. There you see it, that orange flame popping off. So if I was in a dark room, that would be a dull red right there. Okay, so now the next step, the second step in the process, is to now go to a smaller size reduction die. Let me back the camera up so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to grab, that was a 1.3, so I'm going to grab the 1.2 reduction die, see if that fits. Gotta see if that fits first, and it does. So it fits inside. Okay, so we're annealed, we're down to a smaller size die, so now I'm going to find a cone that fits in there. So this is the 1/2 inch, and it fits. So I'm going to go ahead and fold. And we're just about there already. You can see that there's not much of a gap between the cone and the coin. So I'm going to go ahead and just put the spacer on. Now remember, I could go to a bigger cone. If I want to take that one out, I could, but why not just add the spacer? That way it's less steps. And it fits. Press that down. Now I can feel resistance right there, so I'm not going to go any further. And I can see that the coin is up against the cone. And there you go. That was one anneal. That's pretty darn good. Well, the first anneal was the original anneal to punch the hole, and then you fold it, and then anneal in between, and there you go. So now you can go up here and start your stretching. You want to make sure to have your cut edge facing down, reeded side facing up, because that cut side is thinner and this is thicker, and because of the shape of the mandrel right here, you want to try to widen that as much as you can. Oh, and that reminds me, yeah, good. This is a little bonus feature, and you can do this with the balls too, but especially with the smaller rings. Like if you're trying to make it like a size 7 with a $1/2, that's pretty small. And so you want to start out immediately, as soon as you can, to start reducing this down, not really stretch it at all. But it can be difficult to get this cut side flared out enough to make it look nice. So that's the 1.1, that's a little too small. Flip it over to 1.2. Okay, now it's not annealed, so I gotta be careful. I should be annealing, but I'm going to save a little time. So you actually flip this upside down like you were going to reduce it after the stretching, but you insert a cone. That's too tall, so I'm going to go with a smaller cone. So you set that in there nice and level, place that, and then press down, and then that's going to flare that coin. That's work hard and too hard. Gonna have to soften it. Anneal it. Got the orange flame going. We're good. Okay, let's try it again. So in the 1.2, set the cone in. There we go. Boom. Nice and soft. So that helps to flare that top piece right there. Just another way to use your tool. It's nice to have multiple uses for a single tool, and there's probably more, so you guys need to find out what they are. And that's about as far as I want to go with that. So could go with the see if the larger one fits now. Or I'm just playing around now. I don't know what I'm doing. So, but that's kind of what you want to do. You want to experiment. You want to see what works, what doesn't work, figure out why it worked, figure out why it doesn't work, and then just kind of go from there. So I'm going to press that down. Because then you can kind of see the limitations of the tools and also the limitations of yourself, and then find out where those match the best. Now that I kind of cheat a little bit. press it down just enough to get the cone in. But anyways, you can see that there's lots of uses for them. And I mean, shoot, it's almost a ring already. You're almost done, and haven't really done much at all. So just using the cones. So anyhow, that is the concept of the folding cones. And as long as you understand that concept, then really doesn't matter what coin you're using or what size hole you have. You can just basically use your options to start to fold your coin. So let's go to the mandrel next. Okay, so here's the folding mandrel. This is the new one. I think I've got an old one that I've been using quite a bit. But you can see it's basically the same design as the smaller cones, but because this wouldn't obviously fit underneath the ram of the ring stretcher, then this wouldn't work. Oh, that's something I remember Skip telling me something. Thank you, Skip. So he mentioned that the Durston and the Euro ring stretcher reducer machines have the shortest stroke, and the one you just saw me use over there is a Durston. So that being the shortest stroke, I got lucky in designing the cones with the shortest stroke machine. So they'll work under the Chinese models as well. You'll actually have more stroke length to fold your coins. So anyhow, back to this guy, Arbor Press. Bought this years ago when I was trying to figure out how to fold Morgans. Figured I needed a more powerful machine, and it didn't work. That's when I went to the really highly polished dies, making sure it had the right angle on it, and I was able to use just the ring stretcher for the Morgan. So I dug this thing out back of the shop and actually got it mounted on the table here, and we'll give her a shot. I'm glad I didn't sell it. But anyhow, so the idea with this is because you have, it actually would probably work with just a single die. You see that? It's down below the die. So you can't work it on a flat piece like this, but you could work it in the hole right there, because that would work. Or what I was doing with the hydraulic press was I was stacking two dies on top of one another, and that worked really good, because then that would give you the length that you need down below that first die. So either way, I guess we'll do it like this, kind of imitate a hydraulic press, but we're using an arbor press. So again, here's a Walking Liberty, 1942, and it is annealed, has a hole perfectly punched in the center. It's a 1/2-inch hole, and the sides of the hole are beveled. So right in here, it's nice and soft. There's no sharp edge to dig in and cut that mandrel. Nice and soft. So anyhow, we'll place that in there, nice and level. It just plopped in there level. Here's one that I've been using quite a lot, making all kinds of rings, and it's holding up great. So we'll go ahead and use that one. So we place that in there, and again, these will work in the 3/8 holes up to 5/8, maybe bigger, but able to make quarters with the small holes up to silver eagles with that one mandrel right there. So we'll go ahead and press down. You want to feel that resistance, which I'm starting to feel. So I'm just I'll go a little more. Why not? Okay. There we go. So that's the first fold right there. So now I'll go ahead and anneal that, and we'll do the second one. Okay, so going for the second. I'm not sure if maybe it went down far enough. Let's check it real quick. Yeah, it went down far enough, so we can go now to the 1.2. That 1.3 was the first one. So we'll go to the 1.2, throw it on in there. There we go. And place our folding mandrel in. Go ahead and fold. I can see it getting close to the coin, and I can feel the resistance, but I'm going to go ahead and go for it. Okay, now I feel resistance. I think we're in there. And there we go. A folded Walking Liberty $50. Pretty darn cool, and it's holding up great. Just amazing. So at this point I would anneal again, start stretching, go 2 to 3 sizes larger than my target size that I want, depending on how much of a fat tire look that the customer would like. I like in between the two, you know, not too round but not too flat, something symmetrical. So anyhow, that's the use of the folding mandrel. And I like the arbor press. It's a good tool. So Adam McSkinney and Skylar Jenkins, you are correct. It's for the folding process. It is nice. It is nice. Oh, and that reminds me, the hydraulic press. I was using a buddy, a good friend of mine. I was using his hydraulic press to try this out. And I noticed that you don't want to overpress because you can't feel the resistance because you got, you know, 10 tons, 30 tons of force at your fingertips. So definitely watch to make sure when that coin gets close to that mandrel. You don't want to continue down because you can actually overpress and hurt the detail of the coin. So that is one caveat, I guess, or tip to not overpress with the hydraulic press when using the cones or the mandrel. And really, you can use the cones on the arbor press and the hydraulic press as well. Probably having both sets is a good way to go. So just just depends on how you want it to get set up in your shop, really. So. Anyhow, I like the arbor press, like that mandrel and the cones. Both work really good. I'm going to show you the 1/4 inch stretching mandrel and see what you think. If you guys can think of better names, let me know. So here, now if you look here, we got a very, very long stroke compared to that, and then even more so compared to the cones. So you're going to need a lot of distance or stroke length. So what I've done in the past is take, let me find a better spot for this guy. I'll take 2 or 4 rather reduction dies and space them like so that I can put that mandrel all the way through. You could also use the hole in your table if you did it the old school way. I guess there's even older ways than that, but this is a way that I find that works good. You just need surface up here. I suppose if you had, it wouldn't quite fit under the arbor. But maybe the hydraulic press too. But this is kind of going back to the old school way, really. You take your mandrel here, take your dime, place it in there, and take your trusty rubber dead blow hammer and start striking that down. Now you see, I forgot to do something. I forgot to use that steel mandrel first. Bad, Jason. But it still holds up really nice. Look how solid that is. It didn't take anything off. Just slid right over it. But I would recommend using the steel one first, especially on nickels or other really hard alloyed coins, because that will dig in more. That you would need to certainly use the steel mandrel first, but since I got that in there, I'm just going to continue. So that's the beginning of the fold right there. Go ahead and anneal. Okay, so we're nice and annealed. Get this all lined back up. That one's too small. Go to the bigger one. You want to check for any cracks that are starting. It looks fine. Get the real tools out here. Well, that reminds me of the old days there. Okay, and we'll continue. Now what we're doing is we're trying to get that hole to fit over the top of the ring stretcher expanding mandrel. Because that 1/4 inch wasn't cutting it. Try to have you get a better view on there. So we're just about touching on that, so let's see how we're doing. And you want to lower that handle all the way down. That way that contracts the expanding mandrel the most. And you can see there it just fits on there. And so now you can start stretching. So that is what we're looking for right there. I'm going to go a little bit more though, because I want to show you one more just to make sure it's going to work. Okay, so I went a little bit more. This is what I'm starting to use rather than that crazy tape, which I don't like. And the plastic's working good, but I'm also finding that just a paper towel. So if you were to take a paper towel, these blue shop towels work really good. I just started using the blue, but you can also use just your standard kitchen towel. But you place it over here. I guess this is pro tip like 12 subpart A. So put your paper towel on there and just one ply for a dime and slide it over. Now it's not annealed, so I'm not going to stretch it or I'm going to snap it. But that's basically the process I'm using now to protect the detail of the inside of the coin when I go to stretch. So yeah, it's pretty work hardened. So I'll need to anneal it before I stretch it any further. But the single ply works good for dimes and quarters, and if you fold it over, go 2 ply, that works good for $half, and then 3 ply for the Morgan dollars seems to work good. So try that out, see what you think. But that is the end of the show. 3 new tools out that I think are really good. And I hope you like them as well. Be sure to check them out. I'll put links to the tools on the screen so you can click on them and read the descriptions and see what you think. But be sure to do a thumbs up if you like the video, and also subscribe. And happy ringing. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.